that we have no business staying there. We had family in the United States. And after that, we went to Germany. Germany had displaced camps from where people immigrated either to America or Palestine. Why not Palestine? Remember, it was a war zone. We're coming from war. We didn't want to be in war anymore. We wanted to be in a peaceful country. So I call myself the Wandering Jew. We lived in Germany. We couldn't leave to the United States. Then we went to France. I lived in France for a year. We couldn't leave the United States. We went back to Germany, and from Germany we were able to make it here in 1949. Yes?
How did you keep being religious? If you were just 7 and you were at 7 was like first grade and we all went to davening. But if you were
How was I religious in those days? My darling, I hate to say that, it was the last thing on my mind. However, with the war going through, we never ate a trip out. Never. My sister, I was a little girl, so I did what my sister told me. We lived on vegetables, dairy product, but we never ate meat. You were in war.
what about davening?
No, my darling, there was no davening. You wanted to survive. You davened in your heart, but there was no siddur. When you escaped, you don't take a siddur with you. In fact, you don't want people to catch you on the street with anything identifying you as a Jew. So you certainly were going to take a massacre.
When did you learn how to daven?
When did I start davening? You really want to know? In France. When I lived in France, I was put into a children's home. And there were a lot of children survivors without any parent. That's when Jewishness started. My Jewish education, if you want to know about that, only started when I came to the United States. I had no Jewish education. Yes?
Did your parents survive?
Yes, my parents survived. We came together to America. I was not in a ghetto.
No,
We had a Jewish star, and we were in our home where we lived. Then they decided to put us into ghetto. Remember I told you, my father had a foresight of getting these passports, and they were in a protective house. Yes, darling.
What was the memory of getting out of the home where something with the window?
What was the what?
You had a memory about the window?
What was my memory?
Yeah.
I don't have memory of that. That's what I'm telling you. My memory was totally different, and my sister, who was older, told me that never happened. Why? I guess I hid it in my subconscious. I still don't remember that to this day. But I believe my sister, who was 19 years old, and I'm sure it did happen.
Vali? Was it Vali?
What's that?
Was it Vali who did it?
Yes, Vali Lipoy, exactly.
Where did all your other siblings go?
I had 6 siblings. One of them did not survive the concentration camp. Actually, he did survive till the end of the war, but he contracted typhus and he died. Then I had another sibling who came back from the concentration camp. Tragedy happened in the United States. Excuse me, and he was killed as a 22-year-old young man. Yes?
What did you do after the war?
What did I do after the war? Again, I went to Germany, France, Germany, United States, and I went to school and tried to live what people do. But I did not carry the war with me. And let me tell you, it's a very interesting thing happened last night. At Abatura, there was a lady who talked about her experience during the war. And this particular lady, we went to school together as a teenager, and I knew she was from Europe. And I said to her last night, Pearl, we never talked about the war. We did not. We just didn't want to talk about it. As a child, you don't want to, you just want to put it behind you. Yes?
What did you do for a living?
What did I do for a living?
Yeah.
When? After I grew up?
Yeah.
After I grew up, I worked like everybody else.
Yeah,
I
like what?
in
What was your
accounting,
job?
and then I got married, and my husband supported me. And I had 3 sons, and one of the sons is Robert Gross, who's the father of Max, Dio, and Judah.
Was it hard for you to go back to school after?
Yes, it was, because remember, I didn't go to school for many years. And when I went to Germany, I learned German. I hated it. When I went to France, I had to learn the language. And when I came to the United States, they didn't know where to put me because I was old enough to go to junior high school, but I didn't know the language. But I somehow managed, and as a child, you pick up the language and you just continue. You catch up.
Is it hard to get back into like your normal life routine?
As a child, you accept normalcy. You don't ask questions, just like you didn't ask questions during the war. You accept it. Only as an adult you start asking questions.
Even after the war, like the parents didn't tell you anything?
You don't talk about it. You know, again, a lot of people just didn't want to talk about it. And again, I was a child.
I've heard a lot of people about like getting them on their arm.
About those were the concentration that happened in Auschwitz. Yes.
Were you traumatized after you came to the United States?
What? Could you speak a little louder?
Were you traumatized after you came to the United States, or were you happy?
Were you traumatized after you came to the United States?
What
Were
happened?
you traumatized when you came to the
If I
United
was dramatized after I came to the United States?
Or like did you just like
No, I didn't allow myself.
or just did you just
Again, let me explain to you. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about it. That was my self-protection. Yes.
Where did your sisters go? Who were with you during the war?
Well, my sisters were in Pune. We were the three of us were together. We had that protective paper and the Swedish government.
Where were your parents?
They were in a house separated from us because children are not supposed to be there. And they also had the same kind of protection through raw walls or doors and winter. By the way, this man saved 100,000. He's responsible saving 100,000 Jewish people in Budapest.
How did you meet up with your parents?
How did I meet up with them?
Yeah.
Well, I knew where they were. And besides, after the war, everybody tried to go back to their homes. And we still had our apartment and we went back.
Did you learn, like when you went back to school, did you have to learn about the Holocaust?
No,
mean,
all right,
were they-
let me explain to you.
I mean, were they like,
I went to public school,
yeah.
okay? Public school in those days. I don't even think they even teach about it today. They can teach about the Holocaust. Yes.
Just to clarify, what happened when you didn't have any memory? What did your sisters actually do? What did your sisters actually do?
What did you do?
What did your sisters actually do?
Well, I told you. They threw me out of the window. And we walked the streets. They were not Catholic.
Do you think it'll happen again?
That's what I said. No matter who it is. It's up to you. Up to all of us. That's why I'm here. I never spoke about it. I never spoke to anybody public. This is the first time that you said, bear with me. The message is, do not let it happen. Do not walk like a sheep. You must have heard this. Do not.
What did you do before the war?
What did I do before the war? I went to school like many other 16.
When we're in our 70s, talking to our grandchildren and to their classrooms, perhaps in addition to the message of standing up and being strong, what message should we be imparting to our grandchildren? 50, 60, and 70 years from now.
What message are you giving today that happened thousands of years ago in the Jewish truth? That has like Semitic events. And hope that people survive. Because remember one thing, we've been persecuted for thousands of years. Sometimes I ask, we're the chosen people. Why are we chosen? I have questions. Remember what the people who survived the war had a lot. They are religious. They believe in Hashem. But they have a lot of questions. Why? They have a question. They live with you forever. And I think they should live with you also at the same time because why? I don't know if you can answer it. But you can fight for this. Yes.
Where did you sleep, like when you wandered the street?
If you remember, I said we walked the street and then at the end of the day we went to the same place where the children were taken out. And we're here. By the grace of God, I'm here. I shouldn't be alive. The truth is, we live in a very small town in Hungary, and 2 years prior to the war, my father had the foresight of moving away from there because of anti-Semitism and business were taken away from Jews, and moved up to Budapest and figured that life would be easier to manage there. Otherwise, if you would have stayed there, I wouldn't be standing here.
Just before the bell rings, I just want to remind everybody. First, I don't know if Mrs. Gross would be willing to stay for another minute or two if there's anyone who has a question that didn't get answered yet. But I just want to reiterate something that I'm not sure that everyone necessarily heard. Mrs. Gross has never spoken to a group like this before in her life. When Ms. Stock sent out a message or request, is anybody willing to come in to speak? Ms. Gross came here for you, for her grandchildren who are sitting in the front row, and for you, for me. And that's something that I want to thank you for very much. I'm sure that the rest of the students in this room, the rest of the students at Yeshivat Noam join me in thanking you very much, because we know how hard it is to tell some of the stories that we've lived through, and there's no comparison. We thank you very, very much for coming in. Thank you so very much.